Hi. I don't know if anybody had seen my last video on. I was just looking at that. I had even forgotten myself what it was about. And it was about Erica Kirk and the trad wife, um, and Arnold Schwarzenegger basically saying, it's the press that's radicalizing everybody. And I mean, I agree with them, and I went into that, and yeah, but also it's kind of, you know, mirror, mirror on the wall, and who's calling the kettle black? Uh, so it's everybody because we're the ruling elite, but even the people, the 90 percenters, I mean, everybody have brainwashed them into believing that they hold power by the vote, but that's just manipulated. That's where everybody thinks it is. So where their real power is consumer, how they spend their money. Um, you know, gets a little bit more complicated than just going to the polls and voting. Ian Carroll has a really good app I recommend everybody to look into. I even have that in the PowerPoint slides. So anyway, I've been watching the well, it's really the different factions, the response of everybody. Basically, it's gotten into Charlie Kirk's assassination, and this once again the single bullet, the magic bullet theory that just doesn't make sense from the very beginning. I mean, it's the first question coming out of the gate, just come out of the gate, is wait a second. I know absolutely nothing about guns. I know you stick a bullet in it, you point it at somebody, or actually, you're not supposed to point it at somebody. You point it on something and you shoot. And you don't want to point it ever at anybody unless you intend to use it. And that is, yeah, not something that I'm, yeah. So I know nothing. Other than they can kill you. So, but I am understanding that, a bullet is gonna, to the head, to the neck, is gonna do some pretty significant damage. There was one at the very beginning. I think apparently this was supposedly the autopsy that come out, and this was some of the ballistic podcasters who were looking at that, and it had entered in and bounced around inside, and then immediately like hit his heart and killed him instantly, and that's why he tensed up. That was the explanation. I hadn't really seen it challenged effectively, and I haven't really seen, as I say, anything that's effectively challenged that. There's some other, you know, was it the bullet? Was it a bullet? What, there's now electrocution. That doesn't seem to be likely. There's another guy who it was this boom and bounce. He was listening to the sounds. As I say, this is out of my area of expertise. If somebody's coming to me, I'm going to assume they're of good faith, unless another expert in that arena comes and says, oh, the person making all this stuff up. I'm going to take them at their word. And so that was, and in that scenario, Charlie Kirk would still be alive. I mean, I have no idea. The second I heard about this, the economist at the IMF and over in International Square, they can attest to that. That same day, I'm like, well, the day before 9/11, that sounds suspicious to me. I mean, let's face it. Don't I mean, we are dealing with such pathological liars and psychopaths that run Washington. I'm sorry, you made your bed and you can lie in it. You guys have been telling me that for 20 years. since I've been back. So, if nobody believes you coming out of the gate and believes anything that comes out of your mouth, better prove it. It's your own damn fault. So don't whine and complain. Oh, that was in the old administration. No, you guys have been pulling that since the beginning. So anyway, uh, just there's a lot of questions. So, and I've been listening to everybody. This is another thing. All you podcasters, you're out there, and a lot of you are not listening to what's going on in the others, and it's contradicting. It's kind of all over the map. I mean, you really should have somebody centralized and have some sort of Excel spreadsheet or something, keeping track of. I mean, come on, with all of the technology, that shouldn't be difficult to put together. And you can keep a little bit. That's also where you're not where your adversaries are effectively attacking you. So anyway, yeah, there's just too many things. The first thing is the bullet. Now, what my understanding was from this ballistic guy, we're going to assume that this was a bullet that went in here. Where exactly it came from, that's not sure, but it wasn't this big, huge, what they call it, 06 or something. Sorry. That it wasn't what they're claiming. And that that there are some sort of, like high tech James Bond type of stuff, bullets that, snipers and all the CIA and all you guys with all your fancy gadgets, that there is something that can go in and it like how shall I say it, shatters into different pieces, and that's where it does all of this damage, and that it doesn't go directly through because it is made to not go through and to shatter inside, and it'll go to the heart and kill the person immediately. And that was always what my understanding. Now, where this apparently is not from this rifle that would have been Tyler Robinson. So there's more and more evidence that it wasn't Tyler Robinson, because Candace Owens came out. There is a video. There's one man, and this man has not been contacted by any law enforcement, FBI, or Tyler Robinson's counsel, lawyers, and this is the only film it's out there. I mean, Candace Owen presented it. I go and Google it myself, but it's out there of this guy filming somebody on the roof, and they said that he was dressed in, the military garb, or black ops or whatever. All of these, yeah, as I say, I'm not really familiar with all the jargon of the want to talk to me about gemology, economics. Yeah, but ballistics is not my forte. So, and Navy SEALs and all of that stuff. uh I can tell you about Tom Cruise. Yeah, so anyway, um I mean, they have some real, I'm sorry, they have really, 007 and stuff. That's progressive. That's some really cool shit. So anyway, it's fantasy, but it's cool shit. So anyway, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So I don't know anything about that. So that apparently is the bullet. So this is, so the guy on the roof, that wasn't Tyler Robinson. They're not even sure if Tyler Robinson was there. There's still a lot of questions that I mean, this is what should be presented to the jury and presented to the courts. And this whole thing about not tainting the jury pool, not tainting the jury pool. My goodness, that is all that TPUSA is doing, and Erica Kirk, and the mainstream media, and the authorities. We've got them, we've got them. And this brings me um, what really propelled me to do a presentation, because it was, we'll get into this, Megyn Kelly coming out say, yes, I believe it was Tyler Robinson. No questions asked. And death penalty. And I'm like, wait a second, this we go back and forth. Well, I keep on going back and back and back, and nobody comes forth. On due process and presumption of innocence. I was all over the map on the Me Too with the Me Tooers on this, and particularly the Gouffre stuff. So, yeah, you got to have the presumption of innocence and due process, and by having this guy. So apparently, the press is saying, oh, his father turned him in. No, apparently, what happened, again, this is all kind of hearsay, but apparently, but you can't believe what the press says, you can't believe what authorities say. And this is why it is important to have the podcasters out there and stop saying, oh, they got to shut up because they're the ones who are interfering in the justice process. No, they're the ones who are trying to uphold Tyler Robinson's right to a fair trial, presumption of innocence, due process, and investigation. Because apparently, and as anybody would do, particularly nowadays, oh, you better turn yourself in because they're going to come for you, SWAT type. Which means you got a pretty good chance that you're going to be killed in that, and maybe somebody else in your family. So much better to turn yourself in. So just because he turned himself in is not an admission of guilt. Anybody would do that in this whole thing. Oh, he turned himself in, so he's guilty. Due process, presumption of innocence. Think about it. You think somebody, oh, you've been told that the cops are going to come and the SWAT's going to come over to your house and arrest you for murder. They think that you were involved in some murder. Okay. And then all of a sudden, wait a second, I handed myself in because you guys were going to kill me and come and get me. With a good chance of killing me. It's not an admission of guilt. So yeah, that really, I was like, okay, Megyn Kelly, you're and as I keep on saying, Megyn Kelly and Glenn Greenwald remind me of CZ Guest and Truman Capote. And that's why we're with Mandami in New York City. So anyway, yeah, Glenn Greenwald, I mean, I'm sorry, they keep on, oh, they're lawyers, lawyers. Glenn Greenwald is somebody, one of the first I contacted, we're into 18 years ago, 17 years ago. He can look at all of my stuff on constitutional law. I mean, okay, it's against the Spanish Constitution because that's where my case is, but any lawyer worth his salt whose specialty is Constitution should be able to follow me. Even somebody whose specialty is not any lawyer should be able to. Well, that gets into Baron Coleman, but he poked his head up there. Lord, everybody keeps on doing it. So, okay, so let me share a little slides that I have. I'm getting a little bit, I think, oh gosh, I can't remember. Because there's sometimes I'm having problems with the audio. And I think, I mean, okay, I know I have a shit computer. I mean, patriotic housewife Nicole, she was telling me, oh, that she had this, microphone. It had spent some money on my room. I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not doing this for any money. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'm barely able to keep a roof over my head. So yeah, I'm lucky for what I have, and I'm thankful for what I have, even if it's got horrible resolution, horrible sound, whatever. And I am definitely technologically challenged sometimes with this stuff. So okay, so who shot Charlie Kirk? Because that's still, as I explained, that's still not really evident. And even if Tyler Robinson was there, what we'll see with Bobby Kennedy, um, who was shot by Sirhan, and Sirhan says he doesn't remember anything. So that and Bobby fought hard to get the truth out, and Bobby does explain no, and does exonerate him. And this is one of the questions came out in one of the chats. I think it was Patriotic Housewife, but that you know Charlie's children are going to want to know the truth. I said, of course they're going to want to know the truth. Well, you can see you have a divide, same divide. It's very telling. Same divide between Bobby Kennedy and Kerry Kennedy and the Ethel and Bobby Kennedy's children about Sirhan and what's more important, a patsy who's going to take the fall and be the sacrificial lamb, nail him up on a cross. I'm sorry, we get with the Catholics again. Um, so yeah, Candace, we really got to have a talk about the Catholics. I mean, I know you. See, the thing is I've been agnostic all my life, and my interest has been much more from an academic, viewpoint of all of the difference, particularly the Puritan with Thomas Wilcox, with a choice drop of honey choice drop of honey from the rock Christ, and admonitions to Parliament 1571. So, and that's obviously that gets a little bit more political as well, because we're with the Parliament. But and that gets into a chapter that I was working, book that I mean, if it gets published, it gets published. If it doesn't, it's no big deal. Anyway, I mean, everybody just thinks that once they're a published author, that they're God's gift to the world. I'm like, yeah, join the sea of published authors out there. And a lot of it is bullshit. So anyway, what I wanted to get into, this is going back to the assassination of JFK. You got the same MO. This is, as I say, this has been going on since JFK. And I always kind of like, well, they took Nixon down. The reason that they had Watergate, because my mother said, well, Nixon, he didn't do anything that anybody else isn't doing. And I was just like, is that supposed to be an excuse? Yeah. So anyway, I always felt that, like, the reason that they had him impeached, which is, and it really does, it's an embarrassment for your country to impeach your president. Assassination, you can blame it on some crazy, and you can turn him into a martyr and you look good. But impeaching a president, nobody really comes out smelling very good there. And it does a lot of damage to the reputation of the country, and it effectively did in the international arena. I mean, I always think that had more to do with he signed the START talks. He was opening the doors to China. than any political, I mean, any wrongdoing. I mean, it's, I look at the kind of crap everybody gets away with these days. I mean, you talk about lawlessness, complete lawlessness in Washington. Nixon was a choir boy. Oh, Lord. Such a scandal. Such a scandal. Yeah, Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward. Where have you been? Why have you been ignoring me? Yeah, so anyway, this has just been going on and on and on. And it's, it's like a soap opera saga that actually started the Gilded Age, and we can even go back to the founding fathers with Nancy Eisenberg and White Trash. I quoted her a lot. Americans, it's the race war in the United States is not about race; it's about class, and class Americans have interpreted to mean the accumulation of wealth and privilege, and class is about how you treat other people, your morals, your values, your participation, your contribution to your community, your family, rather than, seen and be seen in the newest swanky restaurant and having lots of junk, you know. So, yeah, that has been, as I say, this goes back to the Puritans, the early Puritans. I keep on bringing it back to that with Cornelia Guest. She brought back, I'd rather go naked. Well, that's after she became an old maid. She was first the Deb of the decade and brought back these. I mean, come on, this is human trafficking, sex trafficking, debutante parties. It's no different. The beauty pageants. That gets into Erica Kirk. The debutante parties. Just was for the upper class. These beauty pageants were like an American. How shall I say? Efforts at equality. Let him get up all into the elitism of the debutantes. And Cornelia's godmother was Wallace Simpson and Edward VIII, who were in cahoots with Hitler to be puppet king if the Germans took over the UK. I mean, I have gone, all of the, I think all of these deep states videos that I've done goes into one or other of these different things. I keep on repeating myself and repeating myself. I feel my mother used to say when we were young, well, I'm just going to put it on a tape recorder and then I'll just go hit the button every time I need to repeat myself. And I used to say the same thing with my kids. Oh, well, I'm saying the same thing with y'all. It just, same story, same story. So, so let's go on to, I won't go into, everybody has seen the footage of JFK and the assassination there. Um, and these were the issues and what happened, like, it was just the same type of thing as happened with Charlie Kirk. There's just a lot of questions. I mean, the autopsy, was there an autopsy? Why was it taken there? Uh, were these the doctors who received the body, were they sent in? Was there foreknowledge? I mean, here, where's there were these questions. Let's do that now. Yeah. Okay. So these are kind of the Owens claims, because this gets into Candace is making allegations, accusing Turning Point TPA USA of being involved in the murder. Well, they're definitely involved in the cover up, because their behavior has just been strange, and it just keeps on getting stranger and stranger. And um it's kind of like more and more like, well, wait a second, is it more than just the cover up you all are involved in? And particularly Erica Kirk is looking more and more and more suspicious. You cannot accuse anybody of anything, but Candace said in one of the her recent blogs or postings was that it's like in a neighborhood, somebody's killed, and a woman's killed, and well, we saw her husband pulling out some stuff, and they had been fighting, and there was some screaming and yelling, and then another neighbor saw this, and another neighbor, the cops are going to ask, and the neighbors, oh, well, I don't want to get involved. I didn't see anything. I mean, this is what happened to me in Spain. And to this day, nobody, one of my first questions that has to do with my case, and you got to go into my case, was my web designers. This is 2007. My web designers in Florida, did they cyber check my website and ask me for $25,000 to liberate it under instructions from my husband, or was it just extortion? Either way, it's illegal. Uh, yeah, is that right? Either way, it's illegal, but nobody wants to get same can of worms with my parents. This whole thing, I don't want to get involved in any unpleasantness. Sweep it under the carpet, sweep it under the carpet. I mean, I've had this with the Bobby Kennedy's campaign. I mean, it's got to stop. It's all over the map. And this is why I know it is really important what Candace is doing, and that Candace is taking the lead and saying and using her voice, and this whole thing that she is doing this to make money. I mean, TPUSA, you really should stop with that line of attack, because you guys are raking it in, and it's been really, 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 really disgusting. And I mean, Erica Kirk, my family, TPS USA, her family, it's more important, the jobs and keeping this propaganda machine going, and political machine going, is more important than finding out the truth about who killed your husband. I mean, so anyway, let's see. She has unverified allegations against TPA USA, and her claims suggest an internal, oh, this is the AI on everybody else is doing it, actually. I mean, I love, oh, he should really do a comedy stuff. The car guy, Casey the car guy, Casey Punch. He gets into arguments with AI. It's too funny. Too funny. Anyway, okay. Her claims suggest an internal betrayal and cover-up, promoting a highly public and acrimonious feud within the conservative movement. Detailed accounts of the allegations. The ongoing dispute began shortly after Charlie Kirk was fatally shot. Okay, Tyler Robinson was arrested, was seeking the death penalty. Okay, Owen says consistently questioned the official narrative, developing various conspiracy theories on her podcast and social media platforms. Um, yeah, so sorry, when I talk, I'm not the best talker. I prefer writing. Anyway, um, everybody, conspiracy theory, conspiracy. I'm so sick and tired of everybody throwing that, term around like there was no tomorrow. It's like, what do you mean conspiracy theory? Could you, like, tell me what you're talking about? I mean, it's this catch-all phrase that everybody's been using. Anyway, foreknowledge of danger. Well, there has been ample evidence, as it says, Dan Flood, he said they're going to kill me tomorrow. There are people around Charlie that confirms, yeah, he even texted and did say that he was afraid somebody was going to kill him. We've never known exactly who he was afraid of. But there, let's see, silence and potential financial pressure. Major component of her accusation is that those who alleged receiving these warnings have remained silent. Well, yeah. I mean, see, this is where it's kind of like, well, yeah, if you're doing some stuff, okay, because the Wolves in Finance, he's found a lot of stuff about the money trail, and there's 4 different nonprofits that they've going on there, and money moving, and he's been looking at all of that. So yeah, there is definitely questionable behavior and money moving that they don't want to shed light on. Well, and that would obviously be a reason that somebody would, well, we don't want any attention on our company, so whatever you authorities come up with, we're good. And it might not be anything more than that. And that's why they're shutting up, and they just don't want any light being shined on their money trails. Unfortunately, it's not gone that way. So anyway, that's one of the things that, of course, would propel them to not want, just be like, okay, whatever you authorities say, we're going to go with you, because we don't want you having the IRS looking into what we're doing. We want to be buddy, and we still want to be buddy with Trump, because if we're in the group of Trump's protected people, well, we can do anything with this. And perhaps Trump is even encouraging this. I mean, this is also a possibility. Was the Trump administration behind it? Charlie Kirk would have been a threat, definitely a political threat. As I think I said in the last video, all you have to do is read an article. It doesn't pay to be friends with the Clintons. You talk about your fair weather friends. They don't just cancel you. This is mafia style type of stuff. So anyway, that started with the first chief of staff. Yeah, as I say, DC is the Wild West. Okay, so betrayal by leadership. Owens has stated with full confidence that she believes Kirk was betrayed by the leadership of Turning Point, TPS USA, and some of the very people who eulogized him on stage. Well, I believe that's pretty evident. I mean, they don't want, they're just like, no, we're good with the Kool-Aid. We're good with the Kool-Aid. What's, I'm drinking it and I'm passing it out, and as long as you guys keep the money coming. Because see, there's this billionaire apparently that was going to take TPA USA to the next level, and apparently now that Charlie wasn't going to have anything to do with that, now it is going to go through. So definitely there is again incentive to keep on drinking Kool-Aid and passing it out. Let's see, mishandling of communication and leadership. The dispute escalated when Owens criticized TPUSA's post-assassination leadership structure, particularly the quick appointment of Kirk's widow, Eric Kirk, as the new CEO. Owens also accused TPUSA staff of attempting to control the narrative regarding her allegations by demanding an in-person meeting in Phoenix, at an inconvenient time, despite her offer to join virtually. Effectively, Candace is meeting with them today, and that was originally what had been proposed, and Candace said that she couldn't do it. But I think, what was really, and this again, and this played in to precisely what TPUSA wanted to do by extending an invitation online on X at midnight. I mean, that is rude. That's oh, well, yes, we need the socialites back. We need moms back into the home. We need the ruling upper crust. Stop these having it all power hungry women and the upper crust women in the homes in their communities. Just how do you extend an invitation to somebody? All you HR people and all you corporate people, oh, we have this diploma, we have that diploma. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have a brain and you don't have any common sense or any manners or etiquette. I mean, that is just rude. I mean, from just the principle of this thing, I would have been like, excuse me. And I mean, this is what and Candace Owens said. Excuse me, that's no way to extend an invitation. I'm really shocked at this. I just so, and then everybody, oh well, Candace had said anytime, any place. That's an expression. You say anytime, any place. Well, of course, that doesn't mean, oh, yeah, anytime, any place that I say on my territory. I mean, that's like, it just that anybody will think that that's like, oh yeah, Candace Owens was the one who was being difficult. Oh God, this reminds me so much of my divorce. This is not even funny, and how everybody was, appease. This is precisely we'll get into. This is precisely how the maneuvers are going, and Candace. Thank God she read this whole book on Sigmund Freud. And she's like, yeah, this is the typical, gaslighting, Machiavellian gameplay. I mean, I grew up with it. I mean, it used to be a joke. When we were growing up with my mom, we would be like, wait a second. No. Yeah, because my mother would say, I never said that. I never said that. And after a while, we would get to the age of being like, wait, okay, we've got witnesses. Okay, she had the power, so we couldn't really challenge her, but then we'd have a discussion, kind of like with the podcast. We'd have a discussion afterwards, a powwow to keep our morale up. No, she's crazy. You see, and sift through that. But it's really sad, and it really is taxing on the brain and all of these things. Alzheimer's. So many of the this gets into Daniel Amen's work. But yeah, it's taxing on the brain. This constantly having to what Candace is doing, sift through. Okay, so we've got some Egyptian planes. Everybody's laughing at her at Egyptian planes. Well, maybe that has nothing to do with the the price of tea in China, as we used to say, and maybe it does. And what are they doing? Why are they there? I mean, I call it the Gladys Kravitz. This is one of the problems with the domestic violence people. I'm like, and all of my families and friends and everybody that I know, and I know a lot of people up in high power. And I want them to be called out. I've been trying to get the press on this and saying, wait a second, all of these people in power, they cannot say that they did not know. It's like with, Jeffrey Epstein, or he says, oh yeah, even Trump said, oh, he liked them young. Everybody knows the whole sugar baby industry. It's a thriving business. And that's been promoted by the feminists and before the feminists. That's been, since the debutante parties. I mean, it's all connected. So, this holier than thou bullshit is really got to stop. So, I mean, Candace, my heart goes out to her because she really is being used as a punching bag by these people. And I mean, she's getting some people standing up for her amongst the podcasters, but I would say Tucker Carlson, I would say has been the most effective. I mean, also that just because he has he's been around for a long time, and he has one of the bigger ones out there, and Megyn Kelly. As I say with Megyn Kelly, well, as I say, she reminds me of Susie Guest and the Capote Swans. But Megyn Kelly, I'll tell you, in even the biggest hurricane, that woman goes with the wind so well that she would be the last tree standing. I'll just put it that way. Otherwise, I'll get into a sidebar. Okay, so the aftermath and response. Owens' claims, which have ranged from alleging involvement by the U.S. military to foreign entities, have drawn sharp criticism from TPUSA and Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica. Blake Neff called her accusations wild and toxic slanders. So, and there's been quite a few podcasters who have supported Candace who pointed it out, going, look, you guys, you're shooting yourself in the head, you guys over at TPUSA, with what you're doing. Candace Owens is just sitting there observing it. You can't blame an observer for what you are doing to yourselves. So let's see. Erica Kirk condemned Owens for potentially profiting from these unfounded theories. I am so sick and tired. And I've really noticed this with the whole Candace Owens affair. Everybody is accusing everybody of being, they call them grifters, this terminology. So we've got grifters. Keep on having to Google the names of all of these different terms that everybody comes up with. Yeah, so that's basically somebody who's just profiting from this. Well, that is a fact of life that everybody, I mean, that's one of my problems. I never make any money out of this. I just want to get my Global Expats project moved forward, and the investment money for that, and otherwise I'm minimum wage and not even full-time job, so I live in a shithole. So nobody can accuse me of being a grifter. That's one of the problems that everybody's got. But so yeah, there is this fine line of, are you doing this to contribute to transparency, accountability, whatever, or you're just doing this to work an angle and make some money off of it. And that's all over the domestic violence industry, the human rights industry. I mean, everybody's accusing everybody of it because that's what everybody's doing from top to bottom. I mean, everywhere you turn, it's not just amongst the podcasters. It really is out of control. And this is where we need a paradigm shift in economics and allocation of resources. This is where Mandami, with this second, he mentioned allocation of resources. Oh! The Red Scare communist guys just woke up from their stupor. Communist, allocation of resources. Yeah, these are like two, trigger words that sleeping dinosaurs and dead and buried in Washington a long time ago, all of a sudden. Oh, these assholes in Washington. See, the thing is what Charlie Kirk would do with students in universities to all go and do in the think tanks, in their panel discussions, in their Q&A. But nobody likes me for it. Nobody appreciates it. Oh my God. Oh, help me. So anyway, let's see. The allegations remain unproven. Yeah, of course, the Erica Kirk. See, the thing is Erica Kirk, they're this whole thing, Ben Shapiro comes out and says to Megyn Kelly, on when Megyn Kelly on stage in front of everybody, yeah, Candace Owens is accusing Erica Kirk of murdering her husband. Okay, he didn't put it in those words, but that's what the conversation was. And Megyn Kelly is, what are you talking about? I certainly would have heard about that one. I mean, they would have been, in the little ear thing that she has, her people. That would have been in 1 second. See, the thing is, and Candace Owens with the whole Freud stuff, she even other people have pointed this out. When you give too much information and you like jump the gun, it's like, but wait a second, I didn't accuse you of murdering your husband, but now that you bring it up, I guess that's a question we should be asking. I mean, this is, I have in here, wait a sec, I'll move on. Columbo. For all of us old timers, we need to be Columbo, well, wait a second. One more question. Like, you think this guy is just like total, like off his rocker, doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, this is Hollywood, but still, he's asking all of these questions all of the time, and listening, and everybody, thinks he's like this, idiot. But at the end, it's like, oh no, he connected all of the dots together. And that's what Candace is doing. And that's what's pissing them off. Yeah, so, like, thou dost protest too much, my dear Erica Kirk. So you really should think about a new strategy there, because you really, really, really painting yourself and TPUSA into a corner and making yourselves look guilty. It's not Candace. You're doing it to yourselves. Let's see. Oh, this is something as well. All of this stuff is coming out about questions about their the money and how money is being spent and all of that. The U.S. Treasury Department has confirmed that none of the tax-exempt entities overseen by Erica Kirk are under investigation by the IRS, rebooting some of Owens's financial fraud claims. Well, first, it wasn't Candace Owens who really made the fraud claims. That came from Wolves in Finance. So, AI. Misinformation, AI, misinformation. So that was Wolves in Finance. See, jumping on the bandwagon, blaming Owens. She may have repeated it, but she wasn't the source. This saga illustrates a deep public rift within the conservative movement, leaving many observers to watch how the private meeting today will impact the ongoing public dispute. Well, I mean, that was the question. Is like, okay, so is Erica Kirk going to, invite Candace Owens? Oh, come on, Candace, and come back to TPUSA, and you're going to get up on the podium, and we're going to be like best friends. And I was like, I can't see that. I mean, I mean, I would have a field day with that one. And I think many podcasters and many people would. I mean, that would just blow me for a loop. And I would be like, oh no, I'm going to have to be following this one real close. I just do not see that happening. Candace does seem to be somebody of integrity. And, this has obviously gotten to a point of no return. So I think that's something. I think only the men are coming up with that one. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. Are we going to know what transpired in the meeting? I mean, and what exactly is there to say? I mean, like, Candace back off and just drink the Kool-Aid and pass out the Kool-Aid and play nice like Megyn Kelly. We'll see that. So, this really is reminiscent, and everybody who is, it's like, come on, you guys, lesson learned from the past and stop living in this fantasy world. Washington is a dirty, dirty, dirty place, as is New York. And American high society and European high society and or high society across the globe, they are not respectable, honorable people. Corruption is rampant. And this is just, it's been going on. I mean, okay, we can sit delegate on a podium and we can sit and I will argue the affirmative and the negative. We can go back centuries. We can go back a couple of years, decades, thousands of years, whatever. Yes, we can certainly do that. But let's, the immediate problems, I would say, really date to post 1950 and all the influx of people, military, intelligence, all of that. I mean, my grandfather came here in it would have been 1912, around that time, I guess. I want to find out. I'd like to find out exactly, but he worked intelligence work. But that was long before the CIA. He was from Alabama. That was Congressman Taylor. who brought him to DC, and he eventually became involved in subversive work, so he left. So, I mean, I know just from my family history, but my father said that he had been told by his father that he couldn't tell his son what had happened because otherwise his son's life would be in danger. Yeah, so as I say, I know from my personal family history that this has been going on for a long, 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 long time. And I mean, anybody who thinks the contrary, it's like, maybe you go back to the Truman Show, like poor Candace. Yeah, I think that this has been a difficult time for her because it was her good friend, and there's it's not it has a personal. She's going through an awakening. I guess you go through that at that age when you start realizing that just how unethical everybody around you are. If they're not outright corrupt, they have no spine. True friends and people with spine are very, 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 very few and far between. My son, my eldest, he once said, "Mom, I just want one good friend in Spain like he had in Bogota." Oh, I never wanted to. I'm sure they I used to always tell them when they would say, when they, knew that Santa Claus no longer existed, and they would say, "Oh, come on, Mom, he doesn't exist." And I would say, "Of course he does. He exists in everybody's hearts." And I didn't want them to know the truth about the world. I mean, they were still, when they separated from me, they were 14, 15 years old. I mean, just the way everybody has used them and pulled them into this is just what makes me so angry about everything else. Out of pure spite, jealousness, whatever. It's just very sad. And the thing is, and this, here, I've played this one. This is because, people say, "Oh, well, it's your own, it's your personal and it's your family." No, the Reagans are like this, the Kennedys are like this, the Astors, the DuPonts. I mean, take your pick. I mean, particularly Cher Denise, she was reading all of these books. Where are they? Where do we get into her book reading? But, reading all these books on the Mountbattens, the Windsors, the Kennedys, it's like, yeah. Here, listen to this.
Just sort of silly. She was just sort of like always wanted to have a good time, never introspective, could never look back. She didn't want to talk about anything that had any depth. If you wanted to talk to her about anything you'd read, it would need to be real gossipy and sort of salacious in order to draw her attention to it. And I think that for somebody like that who isn't interested in philosophy, isn't interested in religion, isn't interested in art, isn't interested in anything that would grow your mind in the conversation and in the discussion of the topics, those sorts of people have to make a mountain out of a molehill when it comes to tiny little, microaggressions or things that she feels like are unfair to her in any sense of the word. Because that's how they feel alive. For other people who are more intellectual, the things that really rivet them are deep conversations with other people, deep ideas, expressions of truth articulated in beautiful ways. But for Ethel, who didn't really care about any of that, how is she going to feel alive? By picking small fights about petty things.
Yeah. I mean, that's so... That's just the status quo amongst young women today. Well, young and old. And here, I mean...
After hearing the horrifying news that Martha Moxley had been found murdered, Georgianne telephoned Ethel at Hickory Hill. My wife told Ethy that the Moxie girl had been hanging out with Tommy the night of the murder, George Terrian said. Ethel was a nervous wreck. Georgianne told her later that Ethel said that she was going to tell Ted right away. She also called her other advisors. She said, "We can't let this touch the Kennedys." Who gives about the Kennedys? Somebody...
This is the typical, this Moxley woman, who was a young woman who was killed. I think this is the Skakel. I think this is Ethel Kennedy's brother who was involved in the murder of that girl. I can't remember if he was involved directly or just there or had his hand in it. I forget. But, yeah, and he went to prison. So, and she was like, "We can't let this touch the Kennedys." I mean, it was just everything. It protect the name. And we'll go into this. So, and this is Cher Denise.
At another event, Ethel became enraged when she noticed that Caroline Bishop's adhesive name tag wasn't properly positioned on her body. Ethel wanted all name tags located directly over the collarbone. Who puts... Okay, this is my collarbone right here. I have never, in all my born days, put my name tag here. Who could see it? I'm not saying we need to have it right here on our breast, but could we have it here? Like here? Well, who puts it over the collarbone? Am I reading that correctly? Yep, directly over the collarbone. When she saw that Bishop's was an inch too low, she ripped it off her blouse and slammed it in the proper place, using the full force of her palm. "It's supposed to be there," she ordered as Bishop fell backward in pain. "Don't you know how you're supposed to wear it?" Ethel screeched before stomping off. "She very nearly broke Caroline's collarbone," said Coach Redman, who was present. "She can be violent."
I mean, this whole thing, and this is Ethel Kennedy, the head, the founder of RFK Human Rights. See, this is the problem. The human rights nonprofits, they've been just, these, I mean, as I've shown time and time again, the human rights movement is just a secular version of the Christian human rights movement under Jesus Christ, started under Jesus Christ and his teachings. I mean, basically the principles are the same. And if you start looking at laws and development and all of that in the past 2,000 years, there's the parallels. So, but my thing is like, wait a second, you guys. I don't care if this is secular or religious, human rights and, how shall I say, religious Christianity, if you will, begins at home and how you treat other people. We've got the DC Sniper, was in 2002. We can go back, I'm sure, and find other shooters, because here it goes back to 1982. I found statistics, although these statistics can't be very good, because 2002 we have 0 shooters, and the DC Sniper was 2002. So a little bit of problems with the statistics there, but does give you a okay, so let's see. We had a big spike in 2016-17 with injuries, and even fatalities. So, I mean, we can look at the ups and downs and stuff, but we are definitely looking towards an upwards trend. So we might want to start saying, Houston, we got a problem that we better take care of here, instead of just saying, oh, violence only happens in Darfur and Sudan, or violence only happens in the Middle East, where we have created it with wars. So I keep on in all my work on violence against women and children as human rights violations, the in-depth study on all forms of violence against women, 2005, clearly states that while men are perpetrators of 90% of the physical and sexual violence in societies, it is women who maintain that violence through customs, norms, and socialization of their children. Um, so, and also that, they piss men off. I mean, women do not, usually hit. Men usually hit. And then it's usually over. It's like, and then it's like, okay, that's fine. No, women, it festers. It festers. And that's one of the reasons, and that's one of the problems we're having here with women in the workplace. They won't let go. They're like pit bulls. Now, that can be a good thing uh, when you want to find something out and you know that people are bullshitting you. Oh, this was my favorite. It was on Joe Rogan. You're being smile fucked. It was somebody who had gone to HHS and wanted something done or whatever, and they were and they went through the chain of command, and and they told somebody, yeah, I'm going to go to HHS, and they said, oh, you're going to get smile fucked over at HHS, and effectively they did. And then they sent what do we call it, X now? They sent an X, a tweet to Bobby Kennedy, and they got somewhere. And I was like, oh, that's a good word. I like that one. You got smile fucked by a bureaucrat. Oh, I've been there. I can't tell you, and it does. It is that what is inciting the violence, because I can't tell you how many times I've been in front of one of these, academians or government officials, and I mean, want to take my hand and just slap them across the face and tell them that they are the biggest scumbags on earth. We have hundreds of millions of children who are being trafficked each year. We'll see. Here, I'm going to play that video. I mean, just, the world is it's like Chicken Little. The sky is falling, the sky is falling, and these girls are doing their nails. Are, puffing their hair and putting on their lipstick, getting ready to go to the parties that all the lobbyists are putting on. It's enough to throttle them. So that's what's inciting violence, and that's what's got to stop. Now, I had come across Candace Owens, and then this was like April, I think, March, April or so. This year, I believe. I had seen Candace Owens with the Black Lives Matter stuff. And I was like, oh, well, I've been telling you guys we need to go to the International Criminal Courts ever since I read The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. God, I can't remember. That was 15 years ago? When shortly after she came out with it. I can't remember. And I contacted her, and she was like, ooh, you're biting from an apple bigger than I'm willing to chew. And I'm like, I'm the only white girl here. And I'm the one who wants to go to the International Criminal Courts. You guys just want to go and have another demonstration and take selfies on the streets. Okay, well, Candace Owens did find some money being stuffed in pockets. I was like, well, yeah, par for the course. See, this is we gotta stop it. It's going on everywhere. And another thing, she in her book club, when I haven't read that. I listened to her videos on that. I mean, Sigmund Freud, all of us who are in family court reform are more than aware how the psychologist, the social workers, the court psychologists are part of the trafficking of the children, and just this is no different than, you know, the Holocaust going on in Germany, and the different actors that they have to justify it. You know, social workers, psychologists. It's the same modus operandi, and it's not surprising, because after Paperclip, I mean, you know, this is documented. It's like, you guys, this is not rocket science. This is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and 1 + 1 = 2. As I say, we got to go back to Columbo. Best gotcha
Word on the street side, make it look easy. Cool, way too
yeah,
easy.
sorry.
Word on the street is I make it look easy. Extra smooth,
I get all of the.
Word on the street is I make it look easy.
Come on.
Too easy.
Oh God. Okay. Oh, yeah, the military. Oh, how to serve. See, this is the military. Who are you gonna serve?
Sanders at quarterback. He takes the snap, hands off. It's that same play again. Kelly over right tackle. It works again. Good for 5 solid. No, 6 yards to the 41-yard line.
Well, it's sure different than last week, Brother Tom. These Rockets are moving today.
Everybody seen the Snake Eyes?
Columbo, what is
Nicholas
it?
Cage.
Still going great guns today, aren't we?
And with the Charlie.
I'll tell the coach. Kind words from a loyal fan are very rare.
Oh shoot, sorry. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm not gonna go back. But check it out. I'll have the slides on there. Columbo, he's too I loved those Columbo shows. I also have Perry Mason that started. That I was very young. Perry Mason, he is a little bit before my time. Yeah, so anyway, this is see here, the point that I want to make here, this is in my case alone in Spain. These are all pending things. Okay, for example, all of these different things, I'm like, this is a violation of you know, such and such, number such and such in the civil code. Now I know everything's not going to stick, but in fact, Maria Jose Carrascosa, she spent 8 years in a New Jersey prison. I forget. I know. I think she was liberated. God, what year was she liberated? Like 2013. I forget. She was there, but for 7 years. And they didn't have, you know, she kept on habeas corpus. She's a lawyer. So anyway, she was like, well, who put this together for you? I was like, no, I put it together myself. I'm not going to get any help from all these stupid nonprofits and the domestic violence industry, the human rights industry. I mean, it's criminal. It is criminal what they are doing. It is a money-making industry. I mean, this is, as I say, same can of worms is what we're seeing with the religious institutions. And and I mean, you have psychopaths in there. It's not even, if you were good people, you could justify it, but they're a bunch of psychopaths. So anyway, that's all and this is all pending. When there's this stuff over here, those are all the conventions, international human rights conventions. Now here are the different books that document what's happening in family courts, and my case. This is my case. So, you know, like this whole, how shall I say it, condescension from, oh, you're not a lawyer, so you don't know what you're doing. Screw you, I know better. Oh, I understand all of this stuff much better. I've spent the past 20 years. You took my kids, and I didn't bring them in this world to be used as cannon fodder, and I will fight to the end. I mean, you can have me living in shit places, you can even have me living in a tent on the street, but I am not stopping. Because I mean, I don't even care what happens to me anymore. I just live for the day, reunited with my kids, my sons, and if that's not God's will, but then at least they'll understand what I've been fighting about, and that it's not bullshit like their father's telling them, like everybody around them is telling them. I mean, this gets into Marianne Seigart, the authority gap, all of the feminists, Marianne Seigart with the authority gap, her book. Why women aren't taken seriously and what we can do about it. I keep on saying, well, behave seriously and then you will be taken seriously. So before I get into the next slide, all of this, everything that, the shootings, why isn't the government doing anything about the shootings, either to prevent them by spying on the people? You're spying on everybody in the country, but the people who are going around shooting everybody, you go, oops, we didn't see that one coming. All this spyware, and you don't know what the frick to do with it. So and the thing is it's not just stupidity and incompetence. There is method to the madness, because of course, you keep the chaos, you keep your population, your people scared, then they won't pay attention to all the crap that you're pulling. I mean, this is, magic 101. What do they call it? Smokes and mirrors 101. You want to deviate attention away from what you're doing over here so that nobody will pay any attention, and then you can get away with anything you want, and everybody, wow. I mean, you gaslit everybody. So, this, I forget. This goes back to the beginning of my steep state. Tucker Carlson. Watch this video with Richard Warner. This explains it. This guy over here, Yanis Varoufakis. That sounds, I don't know, he's Greek. He again explains the same thing. Baron Coleman is explaining the same thing, but Baron Coleman, when I contacted him recently, I said, oh gosh, okay, another lawyer who was, defended the January 6th people. Okay, I'll give him I'll send him an email. Send him an email. Can you help me here in Washington? I got all of these cases. We'll drain the swamp, as Trump promised. He ignores me, so I call him up. And at first, the phone is busy, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll call back. I call back, and it goes straight to, cut off. Well, maybe, so I call back again. Again, cut off. I'm like, oh, okay, fine, you blocked me. I mean, I understand why my family and friends don't like me. They don't want anybody raining on their parades. But, all of these people who are involved or claiming that they want to, go up against the corruption or something, but then you're like, well, okay, here, I got all of these things, how we can do it. Shut up, stupid. Shut up, stupid. I don't believe in your good faith anymore. So if you want to look into that, see, the thing is this is the domestic violence extremist. These were categories. This was a report that came out in March 2021 by the Biden administration. And it's been used against the January 6th people. And when I saw it, I was like, I can go against everybody in Washington. I can drain this swamp get them all in court, and we got this little swamp drained real quick. But I contact America First Legal. I think I have, yeah, here. If you go into the January 6th attack on Capitol, this link here, that'll take you to all the letters I wrote to everybody, but they just ignore me. So here we go to Who Shot Charlie Kirk and the saga. Really, it reminds me of Who Shot JR, and everybody's waiting to find out. Reminds me of the same kind of frenzy, but that was Hollywood. That was TV. This is real life. So again, as I said at the beginning, the problem here is the right to presumption of innocence and due process. I mean, I'm sure Charlie Kirk would agree with me. But this is really the crux of the problem, and I mean that TPUSA can't understand that. Erica Kirk can't understand that. No. We don't want to hear any discussion. It was this kid. He, handed himself in. He turned himself in. Somebody said it was him. He turned himself in. And no discussion. Deal done. I mean, you do not want an innocent person. This is what I keep on trying to explain to everybody. All of these, and this is particularly the dumb blonde suburban housewife, socialite, CZ Guest, Capote Swan, like Megyn Kelly. Every time you imprison an innocent person for murder or for a crime, any crime, the real criminal goes free. So you're committing twofolds of a crime. You're incarcerating somebody who didn't do anything wrong, and you're punishing somebody, in this case, killing them, punishing them to death, an innocent person, and the person who actually did it goes free and is just given a pat on the back and encouraged to go and do it again. And this is how we end up with serial killers, or this is how we end up with serial assassins. I mean, this is nobody has to be Einstein. We've been, training all of these snipers and all of these highly, kill machines in our military for generations, and then they get out, and particularly you screw them over. Duh, they're going to get pissed off. You got them killing machine. You piss it off. And then you're surprised when violence erupts. I mean, are you stupid? Really, are you stupid? Are you retarded? So every time, you imprison an innocent person, the guilty person goes free. And this has been going on. I mean, this gets in part of the war on drugs. I mean, my Lord, I did this years and years and years and years ago. That was in 2016 with Sean Penn and the El Chapo Speaks stuff. But, the war on drugs, it's been a repeat of prohibition, and we saw what corruption it produced and all of the problems it produced. And everybody knows we've wasted over $1 trillion on the war on drugs. So why do we keep it up? because of the military-industrial complex who owns the country. And of course, this keeps up, the drugs. You keep your society up north, up on the drugs, and then they're produced down in the south of the border, and we keep it. I mean, that goes back to the question I asked of the American Embassy and State Department in 1999 when they did a presentation in Bogota on Plan Colombia. I mean, I asked them then, all well and good to get rid of drug production. What about drug consumption? It's all related. It's all connected. And this is really, as I explain in this one, the women's movement, it's created this rift, and the social institutions, which women used to manage and control through PTA, expat wives clubs. I mean, we got the DAR there, the Daughter of American Women's Club, Daughter of American Revolution there. But all of these different institutions that, were the society ladies who went and discussed, what are we going to do here? That was just as necessary as within the political and commercial institutions, which were controlled by the men. It was a division of labor rather than a system of dominance. I mean, that you only had a system of dominance because that's what everybody wanted, but it didn't, the structure didn't have to be that way. You see what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, because it was a bunch of ladies who just wanted to sit together and have tea. And I mean, this is the typical Jackie O, Nancy Reagan, perfect Megyn Kelly. She's the same mold. So, I mean, she's been swaying on this. This I'm going to play because this is really what,
who's that?
pissed me off.
Oh, he marks up medicine.
340B
Wait
medicine
a
markups.
second.
Bingo.
Yeah.
He was in the courtroom smiling. I certainly hope he doesn't have reason to smile. I certainly hope he's not banking on
Everybody
people being
says he was
confused
smiling. He wasn't
about the
smiling.
overwhelming mountain of evidence against him. Because let me tell you, those of us who are clear-eyed on what
he
is and
wasn't
is not
crying.
admissible as proof, and that's really all we should be concerned with, see all evidence pointing directly to Tyler Robinson. All of it pointing directly to Tyler Robinson. My only question is who may have helped him and who may have known about it prior to his arrest.
She says all evidence is pointing to Tyler Robinson. No evidence is pointing to Tyler Robinson. I don't know where she is coming with that.
And I really hope that the prosecution has no problem making that case. Inside the courtroom, multiple law enforcement officers stood along the walls, more than are usually seen in a courtroom. 4 of them wore camouflage fatigues and SWAT gear, reports KUER, local station. Talked about the fight to ban the cameras and so on, the fight over the shackles. And the only issue that Judge Graff ruled on from the bench was clarifying his previous gag order, which restricts people involved in the case from making public statements outside the courtroom. They write, while roughly 3,000 people witnessed the killing of Charlie Kirk, Judge Graff said the only lay people under that gag are witnesses whom the prosecution or defense believes they will call to testify. And so that should excuse most of the people who witnessed Charlie's assassination, though not all. And only they know, only the ones who have been contacted by law enforcement as potential witnesses in the case. You know, if I had been interviewed by law enforcement at this point, whether they said you're going to be a witness or not, if I had been interviewed by them, I would understand myself as under the gag order. And that's to preserve the integrity of the trial. It really doesn't do the prosecution any good to have their witnesses out there talking. I mean, we've seen this. I'm not accusing anybody of having done this, but we've seen this in earlier cases, including OJ, where a critical witness who was going to be able to testify to seeing OJ drive away from Bundy, where Nicole Brown Simpson was murdered. She testified. She was ready to testify to seeing him drive away from the scene of the crime, had sold her story to the media between the crime and the date of trial. And she was rendered utterly useless to the prosecutor.
Okay, I want to stop there for a second because first off, she's saying that the gag order is to maintain the integrity of the trial. People who are going to testify, you can make a case that they shouldn't be talking to the press. They shouldn't be talking to anybody about that outside of the courtroom. However, that's on thin ice. I know with the Americans, no, it's that way and everything, but that's on thin ice with freedom of speech because she's using the example of this O.J. Simpson witness and that she sold her rights, her book, to some publisher, and she was going to sell it for money. Well, anybody speaking to their neighbors, to a journalist, to anybody like that, you're not getting paid for that. So that's a bad example to say, oh yeah, because it is because of, see, with the OJ trial, the OJ Simpson trial. So the issue comes, you can justifiably argue that, the lawyer, the courts can say, well, no, we can't have people talking about this out there. If everybody had confidence in you and if you were above board. But the problem is you're not above board. You are not, nobody can trust you. Therefore, that's why I say this is thin ice, being able to say, oh no, we want to assure that everybody gets a fair trial. And that's why we're having this gag order. But you're not assuring that everybody's having a fair trial. That's why people are coming out and speaking. And that's why you got whistleblowers all over the place. So you can't use that argument because it's null and void from the beginning because you're not protecting integrity in your judicial process. You're using it to protect the corruption. So it's not a valid argument on the gag order stuff.
She should just look like she's in it for money. And so the gag order for people who may actually be witnesses at trial does make some sense if you want to protect both the prosecution's right to a fair trial, although the right to a fair trial speaks chiefly to the defense, and to the defendant's right to a fair trial. So
yeah, okay. So right to the fair trial speaks principally to the defense. Well, wait a second. Where was Megyn Kelly on the Me Too stuff? The right to a fair trial. Now, I mean, the reason that Virginia Giuffre, was believed, I mean, she was a totally unbelievable witness. She was totally, I mean, even the reason that she was with Jeffrey Epstein as a sugar baby was for money. Everything that woman ever did, now, she was conditioned. She, I'm the first one to be putting out there, and you can look at how I read her original memoirs, not the ones that were published later, the ones that she couldn't get published. And I'm oh Lord, when you see how she writes, yeah, no wonder. But, so, she was doing that, the whole thing. The Me Too movement has been so flagrantly about money, gold digging, money witches. who have, I remember one, I forget, it was one plaintiff, and somebody said to the plaintiff, but don't you understand that, like, you were lying or something, and this person is going to be damaged by it, the one that they're going after. As well, if it sticks, it sticks. I keep on trying to explain to people, you're committing perjury when you're lying to the courts. It's done so often, nobody even thinks about it. So, how does she justify? Well, no, because, they're making money off of it, so we can't believe them. Well, then why was Virginia Giuffre? Why were all of these Me Too victims who, they did this right and left. This Carol woman, what was her name? Jean Carroll, of Trump. Come on, that's like so obvious, it's not even funny. So it's like you want to have your cake and eat it too.
If you've been interviewed by law enforcement or have reason to believe you're going to be called to trial, you really shouldn't be speaking to the media, which would encompass some public names who are now in the national debate, who are also under pressure to speak out, but know something in some cases that the rest of us don't know. Well,
First off, unless it's somebody like well known, the media might not be coming and asking you questions. But why shouldn't you be speaking to the media just like anybody else? It's like you walk outside one day and you witness a killing, or you come across a dead person. Because now we're supposed to say unalive. I think they're like, having problems. YouTube gives you problems if you use that word. But anyway, you come across something. Well, like, why am I not going to speak to any about it? Like, oh my God, I saw, I saw this, then I saw that, then I saw this, then I found this, or I found that. I gave it to this person, and we'll go and ask the cops. I don't know. I gave them that evidence. What do authorities have to hide? Why shouldn't you speak to them? Okay, if the murderer is still at large, that's another thing. But, this whole thing, it goes again back to Candace Owens in your neighborhood, and somebody gets killed or whatever, they find a body, well, you're going to be talking about it to everybody, and maybe a journalist will come, because maybe the journalist has other cases that he's heard, and he's like, oh gosh, this sounds like another case that I've heard of, and I've been looking at it. It's just like this whole thing of, well, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't, freedom of speech. Why should somebody not be speaking to the press or whoever le da la gana, they say in Spanish,
and are not free to fully talk about the events of that day? Please keep that in mind as you assess what's happening in this case. Look, Tyler Robinson did this. It seems very clear to me. My only hope is that I can be there in the room when they flip the switch and take his life. I want him dead. I want the death penalty handed down against him and anyone who helped him. And I will be gleeful on the day it is carried out. I honestly don't know how that squares with my Catholic faith, to be honest.
Yeah, see, this was particularly what really, really upset me. And, I'm going to put together a video on this, because this is precisely what really upset me. I know he did it, and I want to be there when they kill him. See, I don't understand all of you Catholics, particularly. I mean, Christians, but the Catholics particularly. Um, my cousin's first in line, but you know, the sanctity of a life and the right to life, and no, you know, don't go murdering unborn children and protecting the. I mean, I trying to fight. What about the rights of, you know, born children? And we're just producing these violent people. Children are not born violent. Nobody's born a serial killer. Nobody's born a psychopath. Children are egocentric. I mean, a baby is egocentric just because its capacity, all it knows is it's hungry or whatever. That they're not born psychopaths. So yes, they're very egocentric, but that's because they can't move, they can't do anything. So, but none of these children, they're made that way, and they're made that way by the you know, this does have a link with poverty, but it's not a poor man's problem. It's being brought up in violent families and violent communities where they're sexually abused, they're physically abused, they're psychologically abused, like with the Kennedys, with the Reagans, like in my family, the list goes on, you know, and this is, I mean, this is why I've been silenced and marginalized, because I am speaking out against this. And this, you know, she says, well, how do I come to terms with this as a Christian, as a Catholic, of, you know, advocating for the death of somebody? And that I want to know how. I can't do it. I'm fighting as much for the lives of unborn children as born children, and due process for everybody, presumption of innocence for everybody, because it is too easy, too easy to start moving things around, and you're throwing innocent people in prison, and you are going after truth tellers, and in the current situation we are. You cannot have it both ways. And this is Megyn Kelly. I mean, so say, Capote Swan Megyn Kelly. Oops. I'm going to lose it. Oh, yeah, I lost her. Okay.
Here we are.
Yeah, that's going to restart it. Oh, sorry. Okay, so you can watch it. This was also, as I say, Megyn Kelly, who just swings with the wind. You know, here she's given Kash Patel. Kash Patel is just getting it. Ooh, everybody's coming after Kash Patel. And she said that she's been friends with Kash Patel and Don Longino. So she's definitely throwing her friend a bone. And finally, I did appreciate Tucker Carlson. Now, I still want a response from Tucker Carlson on his contention that people cannot have dual citizenships. And for example, if you go and you work for another military, then you lose your citizenship rights. Now, Bobby Kennedy's son, Connor Kennedy, went to work to fight in Ukraine. Does this apply to him? I'm still waiting for a response on that one, because then we have J.D. Vance and his wife, Melania Trump. You know, I'm sorry. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in equality for all. Let's see what.
Here we are, patient billing.
Whoa, who's that?
Oh, Well, that's Mark. He marks up
Giants.
medicines.
In the 3 months since Charlie Kirk was murdered, I've really tried not to comment on the murder investigation in public, and it's not because I don't care. Of course, I love Charlie and knew him well since he was a teenager. But I haven't said anything about it. I really tried not to say anything about it. First, because I don't really know anything that everyone else doesn't know. I've asked around, but of course, how do you know what the truth is? But the other reason I haven't said anything is because I know personally a number of the people involved in what's now become a very large story. I know them really well. And I really think a lot of all of them on every side. Candace Owens, I've known a long time. I love Candace Owens. Blake Neff at TPUSA once worked for me at a couple of different places, and I love Blake Neff. Erica Kirk, I've known since she was dating Charlie Kirk, and I love Erica Kirk. And I think these are all really, really decent people. And so it's been my desire for 3 months not to get involved in any of this. And in general, to think to myself, anybody who is earnestly searching for the truth, whether they're right or wrong, but as long as they're motivated by a desire to find out what happened and therefore honor Charlie's memory by getting to justice, anyone who's doing that, I'm not going to criticize. Again, no matter what track they're on, lots of us, and this has certainly happened to me, have good moments, but good motives, but wind up in the wrong place. But it's a sincere mistake. So that definitely happens. I have done that, and so I've just wanted to stay out. And then the other day, I had like a 3-hour conversation with Theo Vaughn, and it was not about Charlie Kirk or anything related to it, but that topic came up. And I said, in effect, I don't trust the FBI. And that gave some people the impression that I was, accusing them of being involved in Charlie's assassination. And of course, I wasn't. And I certainly didn't mean to. But it gives me the chance now to say what I think, which is that we should not necessarily trust the FBI. And by the way, why would we? It's not an attack on, the political leadership of it. I've known Dan Bongino, for example, for a long time, and like Dan, and don't imagine he would ever be involved in intentionally covering up a murder of somebody. I don't believe that. But Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, for that matter, are at the top of the org chart, but this is a huge organization, and parts of it act independently from leadership. That's the nature of bureaucracy. So saying, well, I like Dan Bongino and don't think he would do something wrong on purpose, which is how I feel, doesn't mean that I trust the FBI or have to trust the FBI. And again, why would I? If there's one lesson of the last election, the 2024 election, it's that a lot of our biggest systems, our biggest institutions have rot in them, and that needs to be reformed. And as if we needed more proof of it, we'd learned what a lot of us suspected for years, that January 6th was in effect a setup, and the FBI was key to that setup. And it's still not clear that everyone involved in that setup at the FBI has been fired or punished for that. So no person, no American is under some moral obligation to believe everything the government tells you, particularly institutions or agencies that have a long documented, factually documented track record of committing crimes, participating illegally in our political system, for example, as the FBI has done, manufacturing crimes, setting people up, distorting justice. That's the opposite of their job, of course, which is to get to justice through facts and then to tell the rest of us how they arrived at this conclusion, to prove to the rest of us that the right people are being punished. So we're not under any obligation. Of course, we shouldn't invent theories to discredit the FBI, but it's not enough to have government officials tell us, well, this is the truth. We have a right, probably an obligation, to say, well, can you prove it? And if you can't, I don't have to believe you. So if there's one thing that bothers me above all about the investigation into Charlie Kirk, is that is getting lost. As people argue over what happened, we are potentially letting our largest federal law enforcement agency off the hook. It is the job of the FBI to find out what happened and to tell the rest of us, not hide behind, well, it's national security, confidential sources. No, tell us what happened. Show us what happened. Convince us what happened. That's your job. And we shouldn't accept anything less. And by the way, when we do accept something less, then, new explanations fill the vacuum left by the FBI, which we pay to explain to us what happened. And so I'm going to really do my best not to talk about things I don't understand, state things as though I know them when I don't know them. I'm going to do my best to stay out of it because I love Charlie and I want justice to be done in this case. But the rest of us should remain skeptical. We have a duty to remain skeptical, and we should not be ashamed of our skepticism. Thanks.
Yeah, I want to play that. I think Tucker Carlson, he still want a response, Tucker Carlson, but I about the dual national issues, but I think he handled that very well. I understand why he is in a difficult position. He is. Welcome to the club, Tucker. I've been in that position for 20 years, and I've been canceled for it. I keep on saying to everybody, wait a second, the only thing I'm exposing are facts. I'm not making anything up. Everything, it boggles the mind how much. When I first started the research, one of the main documents, this is the Leadership Council, and they have, it's a report, I don't know, it's like 150 pages or so, but, it's just filled, and they've documented, they've done a really good job. I'm saying, I started 20 years ago, and already when I got into it, I was like, what are you people talking about? All of the evidence is here of what's been happening, and they've been documented since the 1970s. One of my favorite was a report. It was the American Bar Association, 1970, the Clark Report, one of the first reports I came across. And they basically said, 70% of lawyers who graduate from college have no idea how to argue a case, how to, present evidence in court, how to file a motion, how to do anything in court. And I was particularly argue a case. And I was like, yeah. And so what has the ABA done since then? Oh, let's throw good money after bad, and let's just welcome minorities and feminists and everything to make matters worse. Really, in this, I agree with Andrew Bustamante. He's the CIA agent guy. A lot of this is just stupidity. Incredible stupidity. But that doesn't make it okay. I don't care if you're doing this because you're stupid, because you're immoral, for whatever reason, or you're sleeping with the boss, male or female. It's just, it boggles the mind. It's like, wait a second, you feminists liberating women. Wait a second. Couch casting is worse, and it's rampant in labor markets because the HR departments are a bunch of witches and then taken over by the feminists. So either you can kiss ass to the women in the office and, find a star to grab onto and try and follow her, or you can sleep with them. How is that liberating women? So anyway, here was, see, this is what is incredible. As I say, Megyn Kelly, she blows with the wind. So, okay.
All right, you guys, happy Wednesday. I don't know what these people thought. I don't know what they thought. I think they thought Charlie Kirk would get assassinated. They would very quickly bury him in a yarmulke and then convince the world that he was actually besties with Ben Shapiro and Josh Hammer. He didn't even know Candace Owens. His last words before he died were, "Honor the Sabbath and buy Josh Hammer's book." Yeah. And also he had just written this Romeo and Juliet letter to Bibi Netanyahu. I feel like that was kind of the plan. But look, the best laid plans, they can fall apart. And I can tell you guys, this one is falling apart. It is like an avalanche of truth that is just coming at the Zionist lobby, because they were just sloppy in these lies, these post-mortem lies. Anyways, Megyn Kelly, okay, from the top ropes, she just swooped in and did something unexpected by slamming these people. Really, she didn't even try to slam them. She just told the truth. She produced a video evidence of what Charlie said to Tucker backstage at the Student Action Summit in July. We're going to get to that also. Do you guys remember how everybody was freaking out when I told the truth about how long it normally takes for Turning Point USA events to come together on campus? Well, I always told you when they freak out, it's a clue. And now I know why they are kind of freaking out. And I'm going to tell you. So welcome back to Candace.
See what scholarships you may qualify for. Visit gcu.edu/myoffer.
Good idea to lie, full stop. Definitely not a good idea to lie to a woman's face. And definitely not a good idea to lie to her face and try to humiliate her on her own tour. I personally would have strongly advised against it, okay? If somebody said, "Is this a good idea?" I would have said, "Yeah, you know what? Let's maybe not do that." But it happened. And it's important to stress here that this was not just a simple mistake that Ben made, right? That's always a possibility that Ben really thought maybe he's backstage and sees something on Twitter and somebody said, "Candace just said that Erica Kirk murdered Charlie," and then he gets on stage and he repeats it. Maybe it's just an accident. Highly unlikely, but of course you have to run that plausibility. But we can now confirm that that certainly was not the case. This was not a simple mistake, because in the days following it, he didn't recant. He did not modify. He did not correct. He has a platform. He could have just come out and said, "Oh, I got the details wrong." Nope. This was a premeditated and a post-meditated lie, okay? Intended to morally blackmail Megyn into a position to decide right now on the spot whether you are going to stand with evil Candace, who was accusing Erica Kirk of murdering her own husband. And that lie backfired gloriously. By the way, I think if it had been any other person, like if it was not Megyn Kelly who was sitting across from Ben, his strategy would have worked. That was high pressure, peer pressure. She happens to be extraordinarily media trained, and she didn't buck, okay? She looked uncomfortable, but she did not bend to his will. She kind of just moved along and said some stuff about Tucker, asked again, like, "Are you sure she said that?" And he said, yes, she said that. And then she found out, obviously, that I did not say that. And the following night of her tour, during a Q&A section, somebody named Josh stepped up and asked her about that moment. And here is what Megyn Kelly said.
Hi, Megyn.
Hi.
My name is Joshua. My question is, during a recent stop, you had Ben Shapiro as a guest, and he had made some claims about Candace, saying that she had said certain things online, and when he made those claims, you looked visibly uncomfortable because, you hadn't heard that and couldn't verify that. So my question is, why did you look so uncomfortable in that moment, and have you researched the claims that he made since?
Thank you for that. Yeah, no, he said that Candace has been claiming Erica Kirk was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard, and I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending Erica Kirk and saying she would never make a claim like that about Erica, and that she is open-minded to other people at Turning Point. That's obvious. She's been making that point. I had heard that point, but she's specifically been defending Erica Kirk And she's been saying she does not think that of Erica. And in fact, if you read her comments, she's under pressure to make comments about Erica. And so far, what I've seen, she hasn't. So thank you for that question.
And I'll tell you right now, Megan was not done. And I will say this, even if I remove myself from a situation, it is actually the most disrespectful thing that you can do to someone that you purport to be friends with or friendly with. I can't even imagine that. Like, hey, will you join me on stage? I really like you and I'm on tour and I'd love to have you on stage for a discussion. And then this person starts coming after me and questioning my moral compass. Really process that. That's just not cool beyond anything else.
Yeah, it's I'll leave it. Again, you can look at the whole thing. Some people, I'm sure, are familiar with this. But yeah, and as Candace Owens says, wow, Megyn Kelly, she was surprised how Megyn Kelly reacted. But see, this is again, Megyn Kelly, she's playing both sides. She wants to eat cake and eat it too. So we've got the last thing that we had was Erica Kirk with her, oh God, this Barry Weiss. God, what? Once again, the feminists who have moved into the workplace, they've taken over the function that the wives of upper crust used to do for free. And one of them is the HR, but the other is public relations. I mean, I'm like, you public relations people, you need to get with the picture as well. Maybe you can pass some tests that they make up for you, but you don't know what the frick you're doing. So, now the whole thing at the beginning, and this is true, at the beginning, the very, very beginning, Candace Owens said the only people who can make me stop questioning the official authority, the official narrative of the authorities and the assassination of Charlie Kirk, because it doesn't make any sense, is my husband, or Erica Kirk, which, legitimately at the very beginning, if she has a problem with this or something just making her uncomfortable, she would, Candace kind of laid the foundation there. All Erica had to do was pick up the phone and say, oh God, Candace this or Candace that. And there's even speculation that's what's going on here is there's this jealousy that, Candace Owens wanted Charlie Kirk for her, and they're, as a mate, and that their relationship was more than just friendship. Now, Candace knew Charlie before he knew Erica. If that had been the situation, Charlie and Erica and Charlie and Candace would have hooked up long before either of them met their respective husbands and wives. I mean, the way that Candace, and somebody was like, oh yeah, she's even flirting with Charlie. I was like, never have I seen, I mean, okay, I haven't seen them together a lot of times. I mean, I kind of got into this at the end, because I came across Charlie Kirk after Candace, this whole feminist thing, and that was like the beginning of the summer. And I was interested. In fact, I contacted TPUSA. There's Isabel Brown. She's about the, stay-at-home moms. I mean, that's everything that I'm working on is homemakers' rights. You would think TPUSA would be interested. I've contacted them about, what about a chapter in DC? I'd be more than happy to work with the kids. I mean, I don't know if I would go and sit at a podium and with these kids, but I'd be happy to, be involved in it, because there were a lot of things that I believed that were being challenged by Charlie that I believed in. I mean, a lot of this stuff is crazy that these woke people are doing. And hopefully get them not just to challenge the students, but challenge the professors. and the departments that are distributing this. You know, you got to go after this holistically. So I had contacted them. So anyway, you know, yeah, Candace Owens said at the beginning that if Erica said to stop, however, that was 3 months ago. That was at the beginning. And the way things have gone, it's totally normal that, you know, it's just like anybody else. You know, whenever there's a murder, one of the first things that you look at is somebody within the family, or, you know, very close. And is there any financial incentive here? And we see it all the time with spouses. All the time. So it's not, you know, something like, oh, you're just thinking some evil thought. Well, no, this is proper procedure. It really is. So, I mean, it's totally understandable given the reaction of Erica Kirk that a simple stop. I mean, did she think she was actually going to get up on a podium and pull that crap and say, see, now I told Candace to stop in front of the world, and she's not stopping like she promised. Oh, and there are people who've gotten on the bandwagon on that one already. Well, no, given what's transpired in the past 3 months, you know, it's like you tender an offer, then 3 months later, circumstances have changed, and the person comes back and says, yeah, you're like, well, wait a second. The circumstances which were the basis of the offer that I tendered have changed, therefore the offer no longer stands. And that's perfectly acceptable in any kind of you know, normal world, in a court of, you know, in a legal setting, or just a human setting. Even when you're not talking about laws, you know, official laws or something. I mean, this cat fight is really working up. And I think it's more, there's much more Erica Kirk that is jealous of Candace Owens. Because Candace Owens is an intelligent woman. Erica, she knows how to work it. I think her mother told her that. But that doesn't, you know, equal. A con artist is not necessarily intelligent. They think they are. So anyway, Cher Denise, I want to pull this out because I came across her and I was like, oh yes, I even have a very positive comment that I put out there. I was like, thank you, Lord. Somebody who finds just because they live in castles and mansions and live the lifestyle of the rich and famous, that doesn't make these people respectable. You know, Wallace Simpson, Mountbatten. Everybody in the family court reform movement knows about the pedophilia of Lord Mountbatten, who was the uncle of Prince Philip and the surrogate father of King Charles. Now, I don't think that there was any that I don't think that King Charles was sexually molested. But this is something that the Windsors, everybody has got to face. And it's been going on for a long time with Candace Owens. I want her to look Princess Alice. This is another thing with the feminists and everything. I'm like, wait a second, you feminists with, oh, oppressed women, and all of these stories. I'm like, okay, first, I'd like us to pull out and really look at the true story of Albert Einstein's first wife, who was a genius there. And let's really, I mean, that's another thing that was just you guys have rewritten history. And then Princess Alice. Princess Alice, her husband, he lost the Greek-Turk war and, you know, had to flee with his family. So he is humiliated, takes up with an actress in Paris. Then he gets rid of his family. He gets his wife thrown in a psychiatric ward. That's why Princess Alice went to a psychiatric ward, and Sigmund Freud signed off on that. And her sister-in-law is a Bonaparte. This is Princess Bonaparte. I forget, but cousin or something of the Bonapartes, and was married to, I think it's her husband's brother. I think that was the connection. Got that all in there in the various videos that I did on that one. But so anyway, see, that was Sigmund Freud from the beginning. And he got Princess Alice locked up. Look what that did to that family. I mean, my heart went out to Prince Philip. He was 9 years old. My sons were 14 and 15. I mean, I was thankful. I never thought I'd still be separated from them. I mean, everybody's getting ready for Christmas. I'm just like, God, get me through another Christmas without them. Let me forget about the holidays. So anyway, I wanted to play, it was getting over 2 hours. Okay, so I wanted to play Cher Denise, because this is just viciousness. You know, Cher Denise, she's like all over the map of, you know, being horrified at the behavior of Ethel Kennedy, John Kennedy and his wife, and all of the Kennedys, the Mountbattens, the Windsors. This is atrocious behavior. But then it's like, but why? So why are you supporting the people who are behaving like this? See what she has to say about Candace.
Scammers demand payment with gift cards. Don't share codes or personal details.
Always high drama without resolution, and always flavored with no hope. I think what concerns me is how many people want to believe that she's telling the truth, and I think, where's the fruit? Where's the fruit? Where is the culmination to any of these investigations other than utter chaos? Where is the hope in the message that, look, sometimes life feels crazy. Who's in control? You know, if you are a Christian, you're going to talk about that, then don't forget to remind people there is a God on a throne who's in control. Candace Owens was recently invited by TPUSA to come and have a conversation with them. Now, you guys,
so I won't play the whole thing because she does, you know, repeat that and repeat that. This was just before that. And I mean, I have to say,
why would you ever allow people to see the darkness of your heart like that? Do you have no self-preservation that you would not think, hey, you know what? I don't think I'm going to say that my dear friend Charlie Kirk, who I keep wanting to say was my bestie, I don't think I'm going to go after his wife and call his wife not only Meghan Markle, but also a Real Housewives character that just wanted our attention when she was on the up, but then when her relationship soured, she didn't want the attention anymore. I don't think somebody getting shot in the neck is exactly the definition of one's relationship souring.
Okay.
Hello, how are you? Welcome to my channel. My name is Cher Denise. So today I'm going to make a video.
So I won't play both of these in the entirety, but you know, you get the gist of it. I mean, there's obviously something personal with Cher Denise going on against Candace. I'm not really positive. I think it comes back to the whole white trash book about this is not the race wars in the country are not about race. It's about class, and class has been, interpreted to mean the accumulation of wealth and privilege, which is not. It's about how you treat people. So the thing is Cher Denise, her husband, is military, and he's Secret Service now. I'm not sure exactly what he does, but and she does come from a very poor family. I mean, well, poor family. Her parents were missionaries, so doesn't pay well. So yeah, she I don't know. She's come to DC, and this is one of my big things. Is all of you women, and she goes on about the elite and the ruling elite. She definitely has it. She can't stand the elite. I'm like, well, wait a second. Cher Denise, you're like in that group of people now. You may not be at the upper echelons, but you're still within the lower, and you still have a voice at the table because you're on the internet and you have some followers and stuff. So even if you're not amongst the ruling elite by virtue of your husband's job here in DC, you do have a voice on the internet. Oh, look at how many I have. I think I'm at 17 or something like that. But nobody likes me. Like, yes, okay, well, I didn't get into the business to be liked. As I said, I've been in this for the long haul, whatever. Yes, so, if everybody if all of the ladies in Washington were working with me, I mean, the having it all, I mean, Rita Smith of domestic violence, the National Coalition of Domestic Violence. I'm sure she despises me. Leslie Morgan Steiner. If I had a group of women in this town who would invite me to tea and be friends with me instead of get away, get away, get away. We like our corruption. We want the elitism here. We like all of the restaurants. We like the bullying, the chaos that's being. She goes on and on and on about chaos and chaos. I'm like, excuse me, you're part of the swamp now. It needs to be drained. So it's like, from my perspective, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? What's going on here? So my only conclusion can be that she does, this is, as I say, a social climbing issue that she has, and a personal issue that she has with Candace, because Candace does, and Candace is not from a wealthy family. I think she's from like a middle class family from Chicago. My understanding. So she's not from a wealthy family, but Candace does have class. I mean, and it's not, she's intelligent, but she's not arrogant. And she's well spoken. She dresses well. She just carries herself well. And as I say, it has absolutely nothing to do with any of her material wealth. Nor that she's married to, the thing is, I love it whenever, she's married to this millionaire, like baron or something, like this aristocratic family in England. No, her husband's father is a first-time baron. Well, oh, and then yeah, that was with the Enron stuff in there. So yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, no, you guys, you're reading it wrong with her husband and stuff. In fact, this gets into the dual national stuff with Tucker Carlson. So you guys better start listening to me, because Candace Owens, parents have no rights. Oh, I had wanted to, where was that? I know I had it here. Oh, here it is. Yes, this is what I wanted to get into. So this was the interview with the patriotic housewife. I hope everybody will look at this documentary.
And welcome back for another episode of Patriotic Housewife.
Because
we are going to be jumping right into Ryan Matta's new documentary that is going to be released on November 24th. This documentary is talking about baby Cyrus in Idaho. If you guys are not familiar, this was absolutely so sad. It was about a family where they took their baby to the doctor. The doctor said the baby was malnourished, and because the baby was underweight, and it was barely underweight, they had CPS come in and feed the child. And these poor young parents struggled to get their child back because they did not abuse their child. So first, I want to go into Ryan Matta's bio, because we will be interviewing him live on 11/25 at 6:30 p.m. So it's going to be a great interview. Please tune in for it. This is all regarding how CPS is trafficking children. And this is such an important issue right now. Obviously, ST of children is running rampant in this country. And so this is just one way where they're doing it. And you even hear about, this has to do with the foster families as well. So we're going to jump right into his bio. Then we'll talk about the actual documentary, what it is about, and go from there. So Ryan Matta.
Yeah, so I hope everybody will look at that. I included that in there. All of these videos that I'm including in the PowerPoint slides, I hope everybody will listen to in their entirety, because I am including them for a reason. But what I hope, Candace Owens particularly see with the international arena, the rights of parents is even more precarious. But everybody's been turning a blind eye to what's going on in the foster care and CPS. It's a freaking mess. The Center for Missing and Exploited Children, really good documentary, explains the problems. But as I'm hoping to talk with him, because this is not just the United States, it's going on everywhere. And it's just the tip of the iceberg of what he touches on. Because, when I started going down that rabbit hole, as everybody calls it, Wonderland of Alice, I was horrified. And I'm just horrified. All of my family and friends, anytime, did you look at what I posted? Did you look at this? No, I'm too busy. 20 years. What, too busy going to the golf course? You're too busy, going to this party or that party, or nobody can say that they didn't know. The reason that I came up with Global Expats is because I had to figure out a way to take care of my family after my ex-husband crashed and burned. And so this is another thing. Look at it, Erica Kirk. Well, okay, they have tons of money, but, if she didn't, she would be left a mother having to take care of her children. So every woman should be concerned whether they're married, not married. Stop with the backstabbing witchery. Really. That's all I got to say. So, in this one, why does Erica want Candace to stop? And what does she want her to stop doing? This is also stop. Well, what do you want her to stop doing? You want her to stop questioning the authorities whose narratives are making no sense? Why? Why would you want her to stop that? Because that's what it's been about. Now, the TPUSA has been put on the defensive, and Erica Kirk has been put on the defensive. That's their problem. It's just like makes one question, well, why are you so defensive about us asking questions? So, assuming Charlie Kirk is dead, because this is a woman Kayla Rabin, I want to talk to her because she's like, well, she doesn't maybe believe that Charlie Kirk is dead. Now, I have to say that there was this man who did it with the acoustics and things, and this pop, and I mean, it was convincing. As I say, nothing, I'm not an expert. He might be taking me for a ride. He could take me for a ride so easily it wouldn't be. That's why it's important somebody who knows, who understands his jargon and what he's talking about. Is this possible, or is he just, tomando el pelo, as they say in Spanish? So, yeah, that's, I don't know. That would be a hard one to pull off. That'd be a hard one to pull off, I think. And there have been some, I don't know, what was one of the guys, he said he saw Charlie's eyes and Charlie wasn't there. Candace has said that there are people from TPUSA who have said no, that they saw the body and he was dead. So the next, the latest is kind of like, well, maybe we're being psyoped by Candace, Erica, and Charlie's alive, and yeah, so anything's possible. I mean, I think that's also Andrew Bustamante with the CIA. Anything is possible. You just want to look at probabilities of this actually being, step by step and stuff like that. So anyway, who had a motive to kill him? The Trump administration. And who has benefited from his death? The Trump administration, TPUSA, and Erica Kirk. I mean, the Trump administration, the thing is, well, first, they want buddy, everybody's in bed with Israel and Yahoo and that whole can of worms. So yeah, and Trump, I mean, it's kind of obvious that, now that Gaza, that would be a nice little plot of land for us to stick some luxury high-rise, and have some tourist attractions there. Go figure. Do we need to be asking any more questions than that? So it might be deeper, but definitely there's a motive. And then also Charlie Kirk, he is a contender would have been a contender to be a future president. So yeah, definitely, the young buck coming up, and I mean, see, the thing is J.D. Vance, he's controllable. Everybody else is controllable. Charlie Kirk was becoming uncontrollable. So that would definitely be a possibility. The Trump administration, the Republican factions there. Foreign government, Israel and or France, Netanyahu and Macron. I mean, definitely. I have a French nationality, and I wish Candace Owens would contact me about all of that stuff with Dominique Strauss-Kahn. That's Anne Sinclair, Huffington Post, France. It all is connected. It's all, this is the thing. It's like, well, conspiracy theory. They all know each other. Of course they're conspiring. Either they're conspiring to do good or to do bad. Most of the time it's conspiring to do bad. I know. That's why they canceled me. I got too much dirt on them. I'm safe because nobody likes me. Look at all of my look at my YouTube account. You look at all of my postings. My blogs are on LinkedIn because Huffington Post shut me down a long time ago. I submitted one to what is this, the Caller? What was that, the Tucker Carlson's one? Who knows? I've given up hope that any news press outlet is going to give me a voice. The right doesn't like me because I'm calling them out and I got dirt on them. The left doesn't like me. Nobody likes me because I got dirt on them or their friends. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I didn't create the dirt. I just am observing what's going on around me, and I'm not going to drink Kool-Aid, and I'm not going to pass out Kool-Aid. So anyway, I'm going to finish it up there. I hope this was really interesting. I really like Trigger Smart. Not sure what his name is, but he, because there is so much, like, between all of the podcasters that are looking at all of this, there is so much backstabbing and just like, can you guys work together? This is what I like about this Trigger Smart guy. He seems to be one of the few that really doesn't get into the cat fights. Tell that the women are involved because we got lots of cat fights here. So anyway, I guess we will find out either later this evening, probably not this evening, but maybe tomorrow sometime, what went down between Erica and Candace. This is reminiscent. Let's see. I think I have to take that down. Let's see. Okay, Carrington Fight Dynasty. Any of you all are not too old. The cat fight. Oh gosh. The cat fight between in Dallas, because you had Dynasty. Dallas was, you had evil J.R. Ewing, who apparently Larry Hagman was like the nicest guy. Evil JR. The Spaniards. I was like, why are you guys saying joder? Why are you saying joder? They were saying joder. Yeah, so evil JR, and his good brother Bobby. And then you had Alexis Carrington and Crystal Carrington and the evil Alexis and the famous. Is it there? Oh, there we have They have a photo. Yes, here we go. The famous cat fight between Alexis and Crystal Carrington. Oh, that seems so long ago. Yeah, the funny thing is what I always loved. It was in the Narcissism Epidemic book. One of the things that they pointed out was that actually what brought down the Soviet Union in the Cold War was Dallas. The wives of all of the Soviet Russian guys, they wanted mansions like on Dallas. They wanted mansions and fur coats and everything like the women on Dallas. And so they were not going to have any more of this communism. I mean, I've been saying the same thing for a long time, and this was the whole thing with Marx and communism. I realized that the problem there was that the women just wanted to go shopping. The day that I told my mother, I was like, well, Mom, it wasn't that Karl Marx was evil. He wasn't advocating, he was explaining how this would go down. And I mean, I couldn't even get to that. And she just, went ballistic, that you would have thought that I had said Jane Fonda or Madonna. Woo, she went ballistic and woo, yes, he was evil. He was evil. So the thing is I know very, very well from my, I was brought up in boot camp and the propaganda and how that's being used to radicalize, members of a family, members of a community. It's all the same. It doesn't matter if you have a group of 5 people or 500 people or 5 million people. It's the same tactics. It's the same dynamics, the same psychology, and this is, maybe Nick Fuentes, because he's going, oh yeah, I like Stalin, I like Hitler. He really is. I'm like sitting there going, is he saying that just to stick it to people and get them like to rile them up? Because it's like, well, wait a second, you guys, you're using the same modus operandi as Hitler, as Stalin. Shouldn't you take it as a compliment? I mean, you're being successful with Stalinism, with fascism, because I'm sorry, this is one of the things that I really noticed, because you can see I did a book review on Rise of the Fourth Reich. That was during the COVID shutdown, years ago. So I've been watching that, and what's really interesting is that what I've been seeing for quite a while now, that it's the left. It's this woke, the liberalism. You give them this, you give them that. And you see the same thing in the flappers of the 1920s, but then the Gilded Age, the 1800s. In Europe and the United States. We can get into Jenny Jerome, Churchill, all of it, history repeats itself. So it was this liberal, progressive, throwing good money after bad. And it was really this, this arts and humanities and bohemian lifestyle and all of that that was being promoted, that created the backlash. The left, there was no patriotism. It was just consume, and degradation of labor rights of indigenous people, in this case the Germans, in our case the WASP Americans. There's degradation of rights, allocation of resources for every, all of these elite to party hardy, party harder. I mean, it is disgusting, disgusting how much money is wasted in Washington and spent in Washington for a bunch of sinvergüenzas to party hardy. That's all anybody does here. So I keep on saying that's what's really interesting, and that is, the left keeps on digging in and saying, we're victims, we're victims, we're victims, while the right is gaslighting everybody. If the right, this is one of the things, Baron Coleman, he jumped on the bandwagon, because now I want an explanation. Wait a second, Baron Coleman, you're all over the map on, you got now your theories about the electrocution and stuff. Why won't you guys just submit my cases against the IMF? I mean, that you guys think that the World Trade Center, the collapse of that was and really blew this country away and woke up this country? I can assure you, I have dotted my I's and crossed my T's in all of the cases I have prepared against all of the landlords and the employers that I've had since I've been back. I've got the universities, I've got the IMF and the World Bank by the balls. I've got Congress, I've got the State Department. I mean, this is the thing. You go up against the Me Too bitches. They take everybody for a ride in New York, and everybody has complained, but wait a second. The statute of limitation laws that they passed are unconstitutional. Yeah, they're unconstitutional. That whole thing is built on nothing but quicksand. And the day that everybody wakes up and smells the coffee and they start the countersuits and they start going after everybody, Alan Dershowitz is in there, Lisa Bloom, Gloria Allred, David Boies. Well, now Virginia Giuffre is dead. And I even, said, yeah, she was a victim. She was a victim till the end, but she was a victim of the Me Too movement instead of a victim of a Jeffrey Epstein or Prince Andrew or anybody else. Everybody, even the other victims said, oh, she was worse than Ghislaine Maxwell, because Ghislaine Maxwell, why did Ghislaine Maxwell go to prison? And Virginia Giuffre was given a book deal and all of this money and lauded as this great hero when they did the same things. I mean, nobody has denied that. Once again, a whole case that made absolutely no sense. So if everybody was so gung-ho on draining the swamp, Trump, he promised to drain the swamp, and he's a traitor because he hasn't done it, and we're in the second time around and he hasn't done it. Okay, we don't need him to do it. Give me a frickin' little army of lawyers who have some brains and balls, and we will drain the swamp. I got all the evidence. So, okay, that's it for today. I just, I was like, God damn it, when Megyn Kelly was, Tyler Robinson did it and we want the death penalty. You have no proof that he did it. Where's your proof? Did Kash Patel give you some proof? Well, then share it with us, because I don't see it. And this has got to stop. Oh Lord, this has been my problems with the Catholics from the beginning. Well, all of the Christians. but the Catholics are the worst. I'm always like this whole thing with Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins. He's washed away our sins. How does that work? It's just like the sacrifice. Like the pagans with their sacrifices, sacrifice it to the god. So how does that work? You kill somebody who didn't do anything wrong, and that washes away the sins of the person next to him. I've never been able to understand that one. And when you want to offer me up as your sacrificial lamb, I mean, I've been told that, oh yeah, the bullying, all of everything that anybody does, people can just beat me to a pulp. Anything, they can say anything, they can do anything. I mean, I got the pedophile who's flashing me all over the place. I get threatened all of the time. Death threats, bodily harm. It is what it is. I've been offered as a sacrificial lamb because I represent white privilege. I represent white privilege like Erica Kirk. I represent white privilege like Megyn Kelly. Yeah, that my death would somehow exonerate the sins of Megyn Kelly or Erica Kirk or my siblings or my mother or something like that. Yeah, I just, that Kool-Aid, I have never been able to wrap my head around that one. And I found it really hypocritical because the ones who use that the most are the most evil. So, okay, I guess. Oh, I can imagine. None of the Christians like me now. I made my enemies there. Okay, so have a nice evening. Come on.